Hello, everybody. I am Nancy Matthews, one of the founders of Women's Prosperity Network, and I'm here today to share something that I feel honored and privileged to bring to you. I'm here today with Ricardo Gonzalez, who's the author of the 6 Stages of Cultural Mastery and the Cultural Transformation Manifesto. He speaks internationally on cultural health and transformation and is the CEO of Bilingual America. This gentleman and I met about 8 years ago, and immediately I was inspired and intrigued by the work that he was doing. And we're here today to let you know that Women's Prosperity Network is taking part, and we're inviting you to be a part of a cultural health and skill assessment for female business leaders and entrepreneurs. And we're doing this because by understanding ourselves will bring about not only understanding, but as Ricardo would call it, endearment of others. And I'm just honored to be in this space. Thank you so much, Ricardo. Let's tell them more about what this is.
Yeah, this is exciting. Thank you. So, when you and I started to kind of just begin to talk about this, it was thrilling for me to think in terms of, could we do a significant study on the cultural health and skill of female entrepreneurs and business leaders, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a whole lot going on in our society about female empowerment and diversity and inclusion, and yet one of the things that we see is that they're great intentions, but we're seeing a lot of people who, Nancy, they're really not clear as to their own level of skill as it relates to culture. Yeah. And so I'm thrilled to do this study with Women's Prosperity Network. I think it's going to be really cool to see the results of this. Mm-hmm. I know we're going to share a little bit about kind of, what people are going to see on the back end. And I think it's going to be a really, really interesting thing. So.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a moment. What I'd love for you to share is the intention and the mission behind the work that you do.
Right. We're in a very divisive world. And we're in a very polarized world. And when I look at our culture, we've come up with, I think, some wrong goals, things like cultural tolerance. And I kind of go, do we really just want to continue to grit our teeth at each other and just get by, And so we talk about things like cultural tolerance or even cultural acceptance and things of this nature. And to me, we should be seeking cultural endearment. And there's a process to learn to love each other's cultures, right? It doesn't mean we'll always agree with one another. Mm-hmm. It means we're endeared to one another. And the beautiful thing about love is that when people love each other, when people love each other's cultures, and it's not mutually exclusive that I can love my own culture and honor my own culture while at the same time loving and honoring another culture, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have to give my culture up. Right.
Or a religion or,
exactly.
Gender, all of age, all of those things. It's about, what I love about this is, and everyone who's watching who knows me will say, this is the one philosophy. This is the goal of the one philosophy, that we see each other as the ones that we all are, finding the love and value that is inherent in every human being, regardless of their culture.
Yeah, and what we found is we've gotten much, much deeper into this and in cultural mastery, is that we were working with a lot of leaders, and I'm speaking now for many years, right, mm-hmm. who were attempting to lead external transformation and change movements, who had never experienced internal transformation. And so it's completely incongruent with what their ultimate goals were. And so what we learned, Nancy, was that people who are not internally transformed cannot actually lead external transformation. Mm-hmm. And so our role with cultural mastery is to create a total internal transformation of the leader as it relates to the way that they work with diverse groups of people, right? And so we talk about mindset and skill set. So in the mindset, you get into things like, bias and stereotypes and justice and, all of these important concepts. But in skill set, we talk about, do we have the ability, do we have the skill of connecting, creating and collaborating with people of diverse cultures so we can actually create the common good together, right? And that's a skill set. So we always talk about mindset, which is what's happening inside of me, what are my biases? What are my stereotypes? What are my, where are my personal challenges? Where do I have growth points, right? And so we want to seek that internal transformation. But what's my skill set? There is a specific skill set that most people, very honestly, don't have of how do I connect and how do I create and how to collaborate with people from other cultures. So that's what we're really trying to work with cultural mastery. And I think there's one more thing. We're living in a world today, Nancy, on one hand, we want to increase our influence, our reach and our ability to reach more people and influence more people. But we're living in a world that is socially very unaccepting and unforgiving of what some would consider cultural mistakes right now.
Yes.
So it's quite possible in the environment we are in today to say or do something that is culturally unacceptable. And all of a sudden we have derailed our own career or perhaps even our company. And the consequences of cultural missteps in today's environment, especially with social media the way it is, it's rapid.
I can think of instances where it's already happened for people.
Absolutely. I think we can all kind of think of, we got the big one with Starbucks closing 8,000 stores because of the decision of one store manager in one location.
Wow.
Right. But there are multiple instances, that every week, of things that happen, people losing their jobs, people derailing their careers, people really harming the organizational brand. And so we look at cultural mastery and we go, on one element, we want to increase our influence. That's all. That's the positive side of this. Mm-hmm. But I think there's an element of this that we need to protect ourselves. And we need to do the internal work that's necessary to really go deep and really make this transformation full. Yeah. So I'm excited about the study here. Yeah, and I know that you kind of have a cool thing lined up here. So
let's tell them a little bit about that. And I want to share something from my full transparency. When we were first talking about this, and I was like, okay, I'm going to test do this assessment on the cultural health and skill. I was like, ooh, there was a piece of me that had a little bit of fear pop up.
Right.
And so in that, I moved beyond it because I know that was just my fear of, the unknown, being seen, something like that. Right. And I moved beyond it quickly because I know only through understanding myself and the things that I don't even know about me. Like I have blind spots in this area that I'm completely unaware of, that for me to grow and be a better leader, I must have this awareness on the mindset side and then the skill set that you'll provide related to this. So full transparency, I went through this little, do I really want to remove myself? Yeah. So let's talk about the privacy factor, because this is the privacy factor. When you fill this out, your results do not get revealed. They'll be compiled in the report that we're going to be sharing on a webinar on May 15th. But your personal results are never revealed. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a deep dive. There's some very, very personal questions. It's all encrypted. It's very secure. No one sees your personal results when you take it. You'll get a response page and an email with your results. So you'll see your own score, right? Mm-hmm. But nobody in the report, it's an aggregate report, right? So no one sees anyone's name or nothing's tied to a particular individual. And so that never gets shared anywhere with anyone. So I think that's important for people to realize as they go through this. It'll take 25 minutes or so to actually take the assessment. But I think that there's huge value here, not only from a personal level, but just to participate in a study like this, where we can actually say, we assessed the cultural health and skill of 300 female business leaders and entrepreneurs around the country. And here's their cultural health and skill level and report. And Nancy, we measure 5 different areas. And so, I don't know if you want to get into that detail in this conversation or not as to what we're measuring or if you want to actually show them the page, we
Let's
can.
show them. Let's go ahead and show them. So on this page, there'll be a link for you to go ahead and take the assessment, and then mark your calendar. May 15th is when all the assessments will have been in, the data compiled, and we're going to come back and have a webinar that shares the results of this. So Ricardo, go ahead and show us a couple of the pieces of the puzzle.
All right. So first of all, I'm going to just show the actual page where one would go to take the assessment. And then also there's a code, Nancy, that if you can see my screen now,
we can.
We're going to give this page. But there's a code here that we're going to ask everyone who's part of this particular study to use, and that's WPN, because that will make sure that every assessment that comes in will go into this study. Okay.
Perfect.
So please make sure that when you take this and you're asked for a code, use WPN, Women's Prosperity Network. That way we know that this is tied to this particular study. And, you know, there's just some general information at the beginning, and I'll just kind of show everyone here just so that they can just see, you know, I'm 32 next week, Nancy. No, I'm not actually. I'm more than I should get rid of my phone number. I get all these people calling me here. See? No. Okay. You can call. I never pick up. So, and then what happens, they come in here and they get, this is the first section, is cultural background. I'm not going to go through this, but there are many questions, and they will then go through this. It takes about, depending on the person, they're thoughtful questions, right? And when we're done with that, then what we'll do is we'll compile all of this data from everyone who used the code WPN, right? And what we'll do is we'll produce a cultural health report, okay? And that will look like this, okay? And this is a sample report. This was 30 business leaders, D&I leaders, and educational leaders. And we'll graph everything, okay? Yeah. And what happens is we'll show 30 different data points. I don't want to go into the granular details of this, right?
Sure.
We'll look at cultural background, right? We'll look at cultural biases and stereotypes. We'll look at cultural experience. We'll look at cultural leadership. We'll also do a section on cultural knowledge, you know, just to see what people know about, you know, we throw a lot of terms around out there, you know, that a lot of people aren't even really sure what they actually mean. And so we'll end up testing in these 5 areas, which is cultural background, cultural experiences, cultural leadership, cultural stereotypes and bias, and then cultural knowledge. And you know, it's private again. And what we then will do is we'll produce this cultural health report, which we will present in the webinar on May 15th. I think it's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right? Yep. And then on the backside, we'll make sure that everyone who participated in this study gets a report sent to them as well, so that they can actually read in detail, see all of the graphing that's there. And it's a fascinating thing.
I'm really grateful for it. And I'm grateful for it because once we see the report and once I see my personal results, I'll know those blind spots. Yes. And then tap into the skill set, because we're, you know, too much time I think gets spent only focusing on our strengths and how we become better human beings, better leaders, better business owners, is when we can look at our weaknesses and say, what can we do to grow in those areas? Yeah,
you know, I'm a believer in leveraging our strengths, you know, because that's kind of our sweet spot in life.
Me too.
The thing with this is that we live in such a diverse world today that, to me, this skill set is as critical as knowing how to type or knowing how to navigate the internet.
Well, we're a global world now.
This is strictly human navigation.
Correct. I like that. All right. Yeah.
And it's a critical skill set from a standpoint of my positive influence, but it's a critical skill set from the standpoint of I just can't afford to make unnecessary mistakes culturally. The world is a little bit too unforgiving right now. All right. And I think we have to all come to grips with that. Yeah. You know, so to me, this is a critical skill set for any leader, any entrepreneur. And all of us need this. And it doesn't matter what our background is, because we're all working with people from other cultures.
Yes.
All of us, right? I'll tell you a quick story, and I know you need to run, and I know we don't want this to go too long here, but I'll tell you a quick story. I was doing a speech last fall, for leaders with AT&T. And after the speech, I had a lady come up to me who was African American, and she said, "I need to apologize to you." And I said, "Why?" I didn't know this lady. We'd never met. And she said, "You know, you were so transparent in your teaching." She said, "When I walked in, I saw you were white. And I immediately turned around and I thought, what's this white guy going to teach me about culture?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She said, something inside of me said, "Turn around." And she went and she said, I sat there. She said, "I learned more about culture in this hour than I have in years." She said, just things came together. There's a process, right? Because we teach a process, right? And I think we live in a day where every one of us need this, whether we're white, black, mestizo, it doesn't matter. We're all working with people of other cultures.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is to me a critical skill set for all of us.
Yeah, agreed. And again, I am so honored that Women's Prosperity Network gets to be at the forefront in this study of the cultural health and skill of female leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs. We need to know this. We need to know that.
We're really excited to partner with you on this.
Yes. So
really excited. Yeah. And again, use the code WPN.
Yes, and I'll make sure all that information is on you for you on this page. So click on the button below to do the assessment. Use code WPN, and then mark your calendar for May 15th at 7:30 p.m. We'll send you some follow-up emails about it. That's when we're going to come together and do the assessment. So we'll have about a 2-week window where we're going to be asking people to participate in the study. Then the study will close, tabulate the results, come back May 15th.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you all for participating and being the ones to be a part of this, for committing to be your best self, and for loving one another. That's what this is all about. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, my friend. I'll see you on May 15th.
Thank you, Nancy.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Take care.